No one really tells you what it's like to move to a new country. Everyone talks about the adventure, the new experiences, but no one talks about how lonely it can feel, how exhausting it is to start over from nothing. Moving abroad is romanticized so much, but here's the truth. Starting over from scratch is terrifying. I had no job, no friends, no connections. My art? Completely invisible because I didn't know anyone in the creative scene here. It was just me and my husband figuring things out day by day. I kept thinking, how do people do this? How do they build a life from nothing? I thought I had already mastered the art of starting over. I left my home country at 21, lived in the Middle East for 6 years, adapted to different cultures, different rules, different ways of being. So when I moved here, I thought, how hard could it be? Well, I was wrong. People think moving abroad is this exciting adventure, and in many ways it is. But what they don't tell you is that it's also an identity crisis. You arrive in a place where no one knows you. The version of yourself that existed before, with confidence, with a sense of belonging, suddenly feels like a stranger. Finding work? Hard. Finding a community? Even harder. You walk into rooms where conversations flow effortlessly, but you can't seem to find your way in. You feel like an observer, an outsider, watching a life that isn't yours yet. I used to think being adaptable was my superpower, that I could blend into any culture, find my footing anywhere. But the truth is, no matter how much you prepare, no matter how many places you've lived before, starting over always feels like drowning before you learn how to swim. Some days you miss home, some days you don't even know where home is anymore. But you wake up, you put one foot in front of the other, you apply for another job, you go to another event, you try, even when it feels pointless, because at some point, things start to change. Starting over is lonely, it's exhausting, it's uncomfortable. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that even when you feel like you have nothing, you are never truly starting from zero. You carry every experience, every lesson, every version of yourself that has survived before. You're not lost. You're just in the middle of finding yourself again. You know what's worse than rejection? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I applied to art school, thought I had a shot, thought they'd see my raw talent, but they basically said, yeah, no. I mean, they didn't say it like that, but they might as well have. Rejection is humbling. One day you think you're Picasso, the next you're questioning if you even know how to hold a pencil. And it's not even the rejection itself that hurts the most. It's the self-doubt that moves in afterward, like an uninvited guest who refuses to leave. I closed my laptop, stared at the ceiling, and felt that heavy, sinking feeling settle in. Maybe art wasn't my path. Maybe employment would be kinder to me. But as the days turned into weeks and the rejections kept coming, I started to wonder if I had made a mistake moving here at all. But then I thought, okay, maybe art isn't my path. Maybe employment will love me instead. Spoiler alert, it kinda did. I hold a university degree and I have 10 years of experience in my field. 10. A whole decade, and yet somehow in this country, I still found myself at entry level. That's just how it is. It doesn't matter how skilled you are, when you start over somewhere new, you're back at square one. It's like playing life on hard mode except no one gave you a tutorial. I spent months applying, waiting, hoping. The rejections piled up, the silence became deafening, and through it all, I learned that reinventing yourself is not for the weak. You have to swallow your pride, keep showing up, and build everything from scratch. Just because you get rejected doesn't mean you're not good enough, and just because you have a job doesn't mean you've given up on your dreams. Rejection sucks, but it's not the end. Unemployment sucks, but it's not forever. And balancing passion with a paycheck, honestly, it's kind of the best of both worlds. Building a life from scratch is a journey. There's no safety net, no guarantees, just grit, growth, and figuring it out along the way. And honestly, I wouldn't want to have it any other way. The lessons, the independence, the confidence, it's something no one can take away from me. It's not about rushing or slowing down, it's about moving with purpose. And for that, I am grateful. And then there's the weirdest paradox of all. You want to make friends, but at the same time, you're kind of fine on your own. As you grow older, you gain this wisdom. You don't force friendships anymore. You don't chase people. You don't need validation from a big social circle. Because the truth is, you do have friends, amazing ones, but they live on the other side of the world. So, what do? You learn to appreciate solitude, but you also stay open. You start valuing quality over quantity. You stop looking for your people in the places you think they should be, and instead, you let connections happen naturally. And maybe making friends as an adult isn't about recreating the friendships of the past. Maybe it's about embracing the ones that come in different forms, in passing conversations, in unexpected connections, in the quiet understanding between two people who just get it. Because even if it takes time, even if it looks different than before, you always find your people. Or maybe they find you. I spent so much time fighting the current, forcing things to happen, chasing opportunities that never seemed to land, trying to fit into spaces that clearly weren't meant for me. And the more I held on, the more exhausted I became. It felt like the harder I pushed, the harder life pushed back. So eventually, I stopped. Not in giving up kind of way, but in a letting go kind of way. If you know, you know. I got a job, and for the first time in a long time, I stopped resisting and let life take me where it wanted to. No overthinking, no obsessing over what should be happening, just allowing things to unfold. And somehow, that changed everything. The moment I stopped trying to force a version of success that wasn't for me, the right opportunities started coming in. Not the ones I desperately chased, but the ones that naturally aligned with where I was meant to be. Suddenly, life started opening up. The right people, the right spaces, the right experiences. Things I had exhausted myself running after were now showing up effortlessly. I realized that not every door is meant to be pushed open. Some will open on their own at the right time. Some were never meant for me at all, and that's okay. So now I move differently. I go where energy flows, where I feel genuinely welcomed, not just tolerated, where I don't have to beg for a seat at the table because I've learned I can just build my own. And funny enough, the moment I stopped forcing everything, life started giving me more than I ever expected. Starting over will humble you, it will test you, but it will also shape you in ways nothing else can. And maybe that's the point. Maybe we're not meant to hold on so tightly to the life we had before, but to trust that something new is waiting for us, even if we can't see it yet. Starting over is uncomfortable. It's messy. It will break you down before it builds you back up. But here's the thing. Growth never happens in places of comfort. Reinvention isn't meant to be easy, and sometimes the life we planned for ourselves has to fall apart so we can step into something even bigger. I've learned that home isn't a place, it's not a job title, it's not about fitting into an expectation. It's something you create within yourself, and once you realize that, you become unstoppable. Some people will never understand how it's like to start from nothing, but for those of us who do, we carry a different kind of strength. The kind that only comes from rebuilding, from failing, and trying again, from making something out of nothing. So, if you're feeling lost, if you're questioning everything, just remember, you're not starting over. You're just starting from experience. The best stories, they always have a plot twist. And the best part, the story isn't over yet.